Ten Hag next. There's talk that he could lose his job when Sir
You
Jim
know he's gone. You know he's gone the way you even ask the question. You know.
Yeah, I mean, do you think, because
you
again,
called it 2 months ago?
no, I
They're
know, I
getting ready.
definitely did. I definitely did. The talk in the newspapers are that Sir Jim's going to get full control or managing control of the football element. The recruitment team, the John Myrtles of this world, and all these guys are going to go. Richard Arnold are all going to go. New CEOs coming in, new sporting director, new footballing director, completely new recruitment team. The new owners have basically said, or the new part owners have come in and said, basically, I'm going to paraphrase here, but how the fuck have you spent £1.4 billion on players and not won anything major, the Premier League or Champions League? They're getting rid of all of them. They're stating now publicly the manager's job is safe, but I personally don't believe it. I personally don't. I know that it's not a complete ownership takeover, but the way it's reading at the moment, and I hope this is true, I'm skeptical because of my dislike for the Glazers and my distrust in them. But the idea is they pay the 1.3 billion and they will run the full footballing operation. The Glazers run the commercial side. If that happens, there's a chance we turn this around, a chance. But do you think that him and his coaching team are the only element of the football program right now that's going to be safe? Or do you think Sir Jim and his team will get rid of him?
First of all, I hope Jim Ratcliffe buys Manchester United. And Qatar, call me. You know you wanted me first. We can get our shit together and we can finally get this takeover done. FSG go buy an NBA club and everyone just walks into the sunset. Everyone's happy. Now, from Man United perspective, I think in my lifetime, I've probably seen maybe 3, 4, 5 takeovers, and I have never seen the new owner ever keep the manager. I think one of the first things they do is usually sack the manager, actually. Even with the City one, I swear they had Ericsson and then they hired Mark Hughes. I could be mistaken. Roman Abramovich hired Jose Mourinho. With FSG, they brought in Kenny Dalglish and then brought in Brendan Rodgers. They always hire new managers. So I think part of the process, Jim Ratcliffe is definitely, if he takes over, he's definitely sacking Ten Hag. Let's all cut the crap. Let's all stop lying to each other. One of his first steps is going to be, Ten Hag, on the Twitter, it's going to be Ten Hag statement. And then you click on it and it's Ten Hag has been relieved of his duties as Manchester United manager. This is something that Man United have caused upon themselves, whether it be manager, whether it be players, whether it be ownership. I accept that the Glazers are the reason why Manchester United won't win the Premier League, won't win the Champions League. I accept that. The Glazers are not the reason why you can't beat Galatasaray, why you can't beat Copenhagen, why you can't beat Crystal Palace. Teams like that and results like that, why you don't have a consistent style of play. That has nothing to do with the Glazers, in my opinion. That's purely managerial. And the one thing I did criticize Ten Hag for, and I've been consistent with it as well all year long and all summer long, I said the problem is with this season is essentially last season has just become pointless. Because all Ten Hag had to do was either step in last season, where everyone was willing to give him the time of the world and apply of attacking football from the start, or this season carry on with the bullshit defensive football that Manchester United played last season and just get results. And by the way, if what's his name? If Ten Hag got results this season, no one would have been complaining. Think about it this way: if Manchester United beat Crystal Palace, beat Brighton, and beat the teams that they were supposed to beat this season, let's say, I'm not even going to exaggerate, they'd probably be 6-7 points better off. They'd actually be above Liverpool and Arsenal right now. So this is the thing. Like, people are not realizing this as well.
Mate,
like, they'd actually be above us.
I agree with you. Look, we need better players in certain positions, but the reason we have 18 points after being so bad this season is because we've got some good players that have got us through moments in games. And I think that the Palace game we should have won as an example. If we were more clinical against Brighton, I know we conceded 3, but I think if we were more clinical in that first half, we could have won that. There's one other game that stands out in my head. I kind of look at the Spurs game. I know we're away from home, but if we were clinical in that first half, I think we win that football match. But we could easily be between 6 and 9 points better off. We had just 6 points to us, and we're on 24 points, which puts us near a title race. I think Man United need a complete reset. And I've said for many years that we will never succeed again with the Glazers owning us unless, and people can go back and watch these videos, unless they stop completely being involved in the football operation. And the only element I disagree with you on is that they are to blame for us not beating Galatasaray, not on the individual game, but they allow a situation where our board that run the football element, our recruitment team, and our manager and coaches are all looking at different types of players. There's no set philosophy between any of them. So I get what you're saying in terms of the manager coaching them. But when you've got those three departments all pulling in different directions and then selling stories to the media, slagging each other off, you're never going to be successful. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there needs to be a complete reset. And I have a feeling that this is probably going to be the quickest way to fix it, is to get rid of the Myrtles and the Arnolds and all those guys, get rid of the recruitment team, and get rid of the manager and his team. Bring in a new manager who fits the style of football that the new people running the club want to play. So we want to play like De Zerbi plays. Just use him as doesn't have to be the guy, we'll use him hypothetically. We want to play how De Zerbi plays, and we're going to instill that football from top to bottom in the club, men's team, women's team, academy, right the way through. Everyone we buy will be suited to that. That's what we need. What you then have to do is you have to go and speak to the players and draw a line and say, look, we are getting rid of everything that's gone wrong before. We're getting rid of the manager. But we know player power exists in this dressing room. But there's a line being drawn. This is the last time this ever happens. If we see people not running, not working, not listening, turning up to the training late, leaking stories to the media, blah, 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 you will be the ones that are gone, not the manager. Of course, unless the manager's doing a completely crap job, and there's always room for that. But we need to draw that line. And I do think when it comes to Ten Hag, I still think there's a brilliant coach in there. I still think there's somebody that can go on and have major success in football. But I just think with what's gone on at the club,
just not as a scout.
No, maybe not. Maybe to a degree. It's just the problem is everyone that's come in. When Jose came to Man United, he was still considered one of the best managers in the world. He bought players that didn't match how we were trying to play. Louis van Gaal was the guy that, the stuff he did. This is the guy that took Bastian Schweinsteiger from being an average winger to one of the best midfielders in the world. This was a man who knew football. He bought lots of the wrong play. Appeared that he bought a lot of the wrong players. It's happened to every manager. So that's where I don't almost look at it as solely. That's why it's hard for me just to solely go at a manager, because I've seen it happen manager after manager after manager after manager. And I think it's a deeper problem. Although I do look at Ten Hag and think to myself, how have you accepted a job where they're telling you that you're not going to play the style of football that you're famed for? Ange Postecoglou is a great contemporary example. We know how he plays football. If West Ham say to him, we want to employ you, but we want you to play like David Moyes, he'd have to say no. I don't think he could coach a team to play like that week in, week out, because that isn't what he is. That isn't what he is as a coach. And that's why I'm annoyed with Ten Hag. But I think we do need a reset. I think there will be a reset as well. I completely agree with you. I cannot imagine. I just can't imagine them keeping him. They're going to say they are because they won't want to mess things up even more than they are. They're hoping for a win. If they're really smart, if they've already got a plan of who they want and they've got the money there to get it done, Monday morning's the international break. That's when there's rumors that Sir Jim's going to be announced on his new team. You almost want to relieve everybody of their duties in the first 2 or 3 days, get all the new people in during the international break, and then the players come back and it's fresh, because that's when you might that's when you'll get a boost of. I'm sad to see Ten Hag go, but look, fucking, Paul Mitchell's here, and Sir Jim's here, and the Zerbi's here, and new coaches, and it feels fresh. And you say to all the players, right, there is a fresh start for everybody, but all the bad behaviors in the past are gone. That's the only way you fix it, in my opinion. I think if they come in, but you keep a couple of bad egg players, you keep some of the recruitment team that are shit, you keep the management team that have got problems with some of the players, all you're going to do is keep the rot there. You're not cutting all the rot out. You're not cutting the problems out, and it's going to spread amongst the new situation. You need it to be completely new and fresh, barring the players, because you can't replace 23 players even in 2 or 3 summers. We've seen how disastrous that is. You can't do it. That's been proven now with what Chelsea have done. It takes too long. So that's the way we're going to have to do it. I do feel for Ten Hag, but I think it's the best thing for the football club in the situation that the best thing would be we get bought outright completely, but that isn't happening. So I can only talk about the reality of the situation. So let's go to some of the super chats here. Do us a big favor, please, and smash like buttons right now. Make sure you're subscribing to the show. This says United need a complete reset, and players aren't anywhere near the quality of mindset. You're absolutely right, and we also need to sacrifice.
But how do you reset players though? Like how you cannot sell 10 players. So
no, but how you reset players is this: there'll be a boost from these guys straight away. They've done it for pretty much every manager, barring Ralph. There'll be a boost. You take that boost on board, but you know who the problems are. But this is what we have to. Man United don't sacrifice when they make a mistake. So we buy a player like Maguire that isn't good enough. And instead of going, right, we can get 30 million for him, the club go, no, but we're not getting a return on our investment. So they make us wait 4, 5, 6 years until the club has generated the income to buy somebody else of that value, and they let him go. Well, what we need to be able to do is go, Anthony's a great example. 90 million hasn't worked. A top club with our level of income would say, right, we're going to sell him on now for 40 million pounds. We'll take a loss, but we're going to go out and buy another player, Cravadonna from Napoli. It's going to be 90 million pound, but we do it because that is what the big boys would do. They replace their mistakes very, very quickly. We have still got players like Delo, like AWB, who are not good enough, that 4 to 5 years in are still starting, and we're talking about giving them new deals and keeping them at the club even longer. It's stupidity. So you can't reset the player straight away, but you have to come in, and there's talk of 200 million pound being pumped into the transfer situation, which releases of FFP. So there could be a decent little kitty in January to start spending on, but it's about just selling players and getting rid of them. You know, the fact that Phil Jones didn't kick a ball for 6 years, but he stayed, that they're the kind of problems we've just got to stop repeating, I think. United
100%.
fans having another protest this weekend. Imagine putting your hard-earned money into the pockets of people you are protesting against. Yeah, I never understand that. Makes no sense to me at all. Ten Hag to go to Ajax and save them would be a hero. Yeah, he'll go back there and kill it. He'll go to, listen, I can see Ten Hag in the future managing Bayern Munich. I can see him managing Ajax again. I can see him managing top teams. He has just come into a very toxic environment. And this, I'm telling you, until we change things at board level, until we change things at the footballing decision-making level, which I've always said, everyone gets burned. Every player goes backwards. That's why it's, as much as I want the manager gone, it's not because I don't rate him. It's for deeper reasons than that.